Ryan was walking alone near the edge of the spaceport. The day had ended, but his mind was full of worry. He was a human medic who had seen many strange things in space, but tonight, something felt different. The air was cold. The street was quiet. Then he heard it, a small, broken cry. He stopped. It came from a dark corner between two buildings. He turned and followed the sound, moving carefully. As he got closer, he saw something that made him freeze. There, hidden in the shadows, was a woman. Not human. Her skin was silver blue and her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She held a small child in her arms. The child was not moving. His skin looked pale and dry. His chest rose only a little with each breath. The woman looked up at Ryan. Her eyes were full of fear and pain. She spoke in a shaky voice. "Please, help him. He is dying." Ryan stepped closer, careful not to frighten her. "What happened to him?" "I don't know," she whispered. "He was sick. We were running, hiding. Then he just stopped moving." Ryan looked at the child. He could tell the boy had a fever and was struggling to breathe. He needed help fast, but this was not a safe place. Alien races like hers were not welcome in this part of the galaxy. If anyone saw them, they might both be killed. Or worse. The woman's hands trembled as she reached toward Ryan. "Fix my child, and I'll give you any pleasure you want." Ryan was shocked by her words, but he could see she wasn't trying to tempt him. Her voice was tired, her eyes were desperate. She didn't care about pride or shame anymore. She just wanted her son to live. Ryan knelt beside her and checked the child's pulse. It was weak but still there. He had no time to think. "I can help," he said quickly, "but we need to leave this alley. I have a place nearby." She nodded, without a word, wrapping the child tightly. Ryan led them through the back streets, away from cameras and patrols. They entered a narrow door behind an old repair shop. Inside, Ryan had a small lab. It was hidden, full of old machines and dusty tools, but it was safe and private. He cleared a table and placed the child on it. The boy was burning with fever now. Ryan turned on a scanner. The results made his heart sink. The child's blood was not normal. It was infected with something strange, something not found in regular illnesses. Ryan had studied hundreds of alien species, but this one was different. The blood cells were breaking down fast. If he didn't act soon, the boy would die. "Who are you?" Ryan asked the woman as he worked. "Why were you running?" The woman stayed silent for a moment. Then she spoke softly. "My name is Lyra. I am not from here. We are not safe in this part of the galaxy." Ryan glanced at her. "Why?" "They think we are dangerous. We come from a war zone, but I never fought. I just wanted to raise my child away from all that." Ryan nodded. He had heard stories of many refugees like her, but this case was worse than normal. This boy's illness didn't feel natural. It felt like someone wanted him to die. He looked closer at the blood data. There was a chemical in it, something man-made, something deadly. His stomach turned. Someone had poisoned the child. "Lyra," he said carefully, "do you know what this is in his blood? It's not a normal sickness. It looks placed." Lyra's face went pale. No, it can't be. I was careful. I fed him clean food. I never let him drink water from strangers." "Someone's trying to kill your son," Ryan said. "And they might be looking for you right now." Lyra covered her mouth. Her whole body shook. "I thought we were safe. I thought I lost them." Ryan moved fast. He started preparing a temporary cure. It wouldn't last long, but it might give the boy a chance to fight. As he worked, he looked again at Lyra. She had risked everything to save her child. She had begged a human stranger for help, and she had offered herself not out of desire but because she had nothing else to give. Ryan's heart ached. He had treated soldiers, smugglers, pirates, but never had he seen such pure, quiet desperation. He made a silent promise in that moment. He would save the child. Not for a reward, not for pleasure, but because it was right. He looked at the sleeping boy again and whispered, "Hold on, little one. You're not going to die tonight." The diagnosis. No one expected Ryan didn't sleep that night. While Lyra sat quietly in the corner, holding her breath with every beep of the scanner, he worked on the strange blood sample. The child lay on the table, still alive, but barely. His skin had turned a dull gray, and his small hands twitched, from time to time. Ryan wiped the sweat from his forehead and leaned closer to the screen. What he saw was not just sickness, it was something far worse. The blood wasn't just infected, it was changing. Ryan zoomed in on the cell activity. The child's immune system was being attacked by something artificial. The cells were dying fast, but right underneath them, something else was growing. A strange type of cell was multiplying, in secret like it was waiting. This wasn't a natural illness, it was a weapon. He turned to Lyra. "This poison, it's not something random. It was designed. Someone did this on purpose." Lyra looked up sharply. "You're sure?" "Yes," Ryan said. "And it was made to kill slowly without signs. If you hadn't found me tonight, he'd be dead by morning." Lyra buried her face in her hands. Her body trembled, but she didn't cry. "I thought we escaped. I thought we were finally safe." Ryan's mind was racing. The poison was rare, used in military experiments. It was illegal across most systems. Only powerful governments or black market groups could get their hands on it. He had read reports years ago during his time in war zones, but he never expected to see it again, especially not in a child. He went back to the scanner. Something else was strange. The new cells forming in the child's blood, they weren't from one species. They were mixed. A combination of two alien races, something impossible unless... He turned to Lyra again. "Is his father from your world?" She hesitated, her hands clenching tightly. Then she nodded slowly. "No. His father was from the Trican system. A soldier. We met during the early days of the peace talks. It was not allowed, but we fell in love. We tried to hide, to build a life. But when the talks failed, both our people turned on us." Ryan stared at her. The Trican species were considered enemies of Lyra's kind. A child between them would be seen as a threat by both sides. No wonder someone wanted the boy dead. "He's a hybrid," Ryan said quietly. "That's why his blood is so different. That's why this poison works so fast. Because it's trying to destroy something that's not supposed to exist." Lyra nodded again, tears in her eyes now. "They call him cursed, but he's just a child. He didn't ask for this." Ryan felt anger rise inside him. A child being hunted just because of who his parents were. He had seen cruelty in war, but this was evil. He stood up. "I'm going to make him a cure. It won't be perfect, and it won't last long, but it'll stop the poison. It'll buy us time." Lyra looked at him with hope. "Why are you helping us?" Ryan paused. He didn't have a clear answer. Maybe it was the boy's small, helpless body. Maybe it was the fire in Lyra's voice when she begged. Or maybe it was just the right thing to do. "Because he deserves to live," Ryan said simply. He opened a small case and began mixing chemicals by hand. The machines could help, but this was delicate work. One wrong drop could kill the child, faster. As the liquid changed color in the vial, Ryan worked silently, his hands steady, his heart pounding. Behind him, Lyra stood and walked closer to her son. She whispered something in her language, soft, like a lullaby. Her voice was tired, but full of love. Ryan finally finished the serum. He took a deep breath and injected it slowly into the boy's arm. The child flinched, but then something amazing happened. The monitor's red warning lights turned yellow. The heartbeat on the screen grew stronger. The boy's chest rose more clearly now. His skin was still pale, but the gray color had faded a little. Lyra gasped, falling to her knees beside the table. She touched her son's face gently, whispering his name over and over. Ryan stepped back and let her have that moment, but his eyes remained on the screen. The poison was retreating, yes, but the new cells were still there, still growing. He didn't know what they would become. He didn't know what the boy would become. But he knew one thing. This child was more than just a life to be saved. He was a secret, and secrets like this don't stay hidden for long. The bounty on her head. The next morning, while the boy slept quietly under the effects of the cure, Ryan decided to dig deeper. Something about this situation felt too big, too dangerous to ignore. He sat at his desk, pulled up his private terminal, and linked into the hidden channels of the galactic web. Only smugglers, bounty hunters, and black market dealers used this side of the net, and Ryan had access from his past work patching up outlaws. He entered Lyra's description into the system. Just a few seconds later, the screen flashed red. Wanted. Lyra of Virel. Dead or alive. Reward, 300,000 credits. Ryan's mouth went dry. Her face was on every bounty list across 3 star systems. It wasn't just local trouble. Lyra was a galaxy-level fugitive. Her crime? Possession of protected DNA materials. Illegal hybrid creation. Refusal to comply with genetic surrender laws. He scrolled down, eyes scanning the words again and again. The child she carried was not just a hybrid. He was proof. Proof that 2 enemy species could create something stronger, something new. And to some governments, that was more dangerous than any weapon. Behind him, Lyra stood silently. "You found it, didn't you?" she said softly. Ryan turned. "You didn't tell me they were hunting you, that you had a bounty on your head." "I thought it didn't matter," she said. "I thought if you knew, you might turn us in, or run." Ryan looked at her for a long time. Her face was calm now, almost empty, like someone who had already accepted death, but there was still a flame in her eyes, a mother's fire. "I'm not turning you in," he said. "But you should have told me. I can't protect you if I don't know what I'm facing." Lyra stepped forward and sat beside the sleeping child. "Do you know what they did to the others like us?" she whispered. "They burned families, took children away, studied them like animals. I was lucky to run. But I lost everything. My home, my friends, his father." Her voice broke. Ryan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the streets were quiet, but now he knew how fast that could change. The bounty would bring hunters, mercenaries, who didn't care if the target was a child or not. He turned to Lyra. "We don't have much time. You need to disappear, far from here." She shook her head. "I can't run anymore, not unless he's strong enough to move." Ryan looked at the scanner. The boy's condition was stable, but his immune system was still changing. The DNA within him was not done evolving. "I don't think you understand," Ryan said. "He's not just a hybrid, he's something new. Something advanced. I don't even know how to classify some of the things I saw in his blood." Lyra lowered her eyes. "I didn't either, but his father believed he would be the key. Not to war, but to peace." "Peace?" Ryan repeated. "He used to say, if both our enemies see our son, maybe they'll stop fighting. Maybe they'll realize there's a future where our kinds don't kill each other." But they didn't see hope. They saw a threat. Something they couldn't control. Ryan understood now. The bounty wasn't about Lyra. It was about fear. Governments feared change. They feared this child. Because if people saw him, if they accepted him, it would destroy centuries of hate. That kind of change was powerful. Ryan sat down again and took a deep breath. "We need a plan. You can't stay here forever, and I can't keep his condition stable without more resources. This cure is temporary." Lyra nodded. "Tell me what to do." "I'll get supplies," he said, "but I need to make a call to someone I used to work with, someone I trust." She looked at him. "You would risk that for us?" Ryan glanced at the boy. "I think your son is worth it." But as he opened his encrypted channel, a new alert flashed on his screen. "A ship has entered orbit, No ID, no registry, no signal. He stiffened. That was never a good sign. He turned to Lyra. They're here. Lyra grabbed her son and held him close. Her body tensed, her eyes fierce again. Then we fight. Ryan looked at the boy once more. His chest rose and fell slowly, but stronger. Now, whatever power was in his blood, it hadn't finished growing yet, and whatever was coming, it was coming fast. The secret in the child's blood, Ryan locked the lab doors and ran every scan he could before the unmarked ship made its move. Outside, the city looked calm, but Ryan knew that quiet wouldn't last. Whoever was after Lyra's child had deep connections. They wouldn't storm in loud. They'd sneak in, erase the place, and vanish without a trace. He needed answers, and he needed them now. As the scanner processed deeper blood layers, Ryan leaned over the screen. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. The child's DNA wasn't just a mix of two alien species. It was changing by itself. Not mutating from damage, not reacting to medicine, but adapting. Ryan had never seen anything like it. The DNA looked like it was rewriting itself, using information from both parents, and adding new structures no database recognized. It wasn't just hybrid DNA, it was something new, something evolving. He called Lyra over. Your son's body, it's not just fighting the poison, it's using it, like it's learning from it. Lyra blinked. What do you mean? Ryan pointed to the screen. Look here, the poison broke down his white blood cells, but now they've returned stronger, faster. His body has rebuilt itself, smarter, as if it knows what's killing it, and is preparing to survive worse. Lyra stared at the screen in silence. Then she said, His father told me this might happen. He said our son wasn't like either of us. He said he could become something more. Ryan's thoughts raced. If the child could adapt like this to poison, what else could he survive? What else could he become? This isn't natural evolution, he said. It's like someone designed this, but at a level even human science can't reach. Lyra touched her son's forehead. The Trakan used to believe in something, called a life catalyst, a being who appears once in an age born from two great enemies. A bridge between worlds, Ryan scoffed gently. You think your son is that? I don't know what I believe anymore, Lyra whispered, but I know they fear him. I know they want him dead before he can grow. Suddenly the monitor beeped. The child's heart rate spiked. His small body arched, his fingers curling tightly. Then, a soft wave of energy passed across the room. The lights flickered. Ryan jumped back. Lyra gasped. The scanner went blank for 2 seconds, then it rebooted without anyone touching it. Ryan stared at the boy. He just shut down my system with his body. Lyra was shaking now. It's starting. Ryan leaned closer to the child. He could feel a strange warmth from the boy's skin. Not fever, energy. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Ryan grabbed a portable monitor and held it up. The readings made no sense. Electromagnetic activity was radiating off the boy. Low but growing, he was generating power. Ryan backed away, his mind overwhelmed. If this continues, if his body keeps evolving like this, he won't be able to hide anymore, Lyra finished. And those people up there, they'll know it. Ryan looked back at the scanner, then at Lyra. You need to understand, this is no longer about just saving his life. If he grows up, he could shake the balance of the galaxy. Lyra nodded slowly. I've always known. That's why I ran. But I can't run forever. Ryan thought hard. The cure he made was buying them time, but not much. They needed a safe place, somewhere off-grid. Somewhere powerful eyes couldn't reach. He reached for his communicator and sent a short encrypted message to someone he hadn't contacted in years. I need a ship. Small, untraceable. Now. Then he turned to Lyra. We're leaving. Tonight. Lyra looked down at her son. He's not ready. He doesn't have to be, Ryan said. But if we stay, they'll take him. And they'll use him. Or destroy him. Before Lyra could answer, the room dimmed again. This time it wasn't the boy. Ryan turned to the wall screen. A warning flashed. Multiple life forms approaching. Unregistered weapons detected. They weren't waiting anymore. Ryan grabbed a plasma injector and handed Lyra a shock stick. Whatever happens next, stay close, protect him. Lyra nodded and held her son tighter, because now, the real hunt had begun. The storm breaks. In the silence before the attack was sharp, like the whole city was holding its breath. Ryan stood at the edge of the lab, heart pounding, eyes fixed on the security screen. Small, fast-moving heat signatures approached from 3 directions. No markings, no warning. These weren't local enforcers, they were professionals. Hunters. He turned to Lyra. They're almost here. Lyra's arms wrapped around her child protectively. The boy had stopped glowing, his energy resting for now, but his breathing was strong. The cure was working for the moment, but none of it would matter if they were captured or killed in the next 5 minutes. Ryan grabbed a remote and tapped the hidden release panel. A door opened near the back of the lab, revealing a narrow tunnel. That leads to the underground bay. My contact is sending a ship. We get there, we have a chance. Lyra hesitated. You're not coming? Ryan picked up a backpack full of vials and data drives. Of course I'm coming, but I'm staying ahead of them long enough for you two to get out. If they catch us all in one place, it's over. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes fierce. We move together. I didn't come this far to watch someone else die for us. Before Ryan could argue, the outer lock exploded. The lab shook. Smoke filled the hallway. Red lights flashed. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand and together they ran into the tunnel. The boy held close to her chest. Behind them, masked figures entered the lab, scanning fast, weapons raised, looking for the child. Ryan tapped the emergency seal. A thick steel door dropped behind them, blocking the tunnel entrance. But not for long. They ran through the narrow path, the boy's head resting against Lyra's shoulder. He stirred. His eyes opened. They were no longer the soft brown Ryan had seen earlier. They shimmered, glowing faint blue, like a star waiting to ignite. More tremors rocked the walls. They brought shock drones, Ryan muttered. We have maybe 90 seconds. As they burst into the underground hangar, Ryan's heart skipped. The ship was there, a small stealth runner, hovering silently in the dim light. The ramp opened. A tall, armored figure stepped out. You still owe me 5 favors, she said. Ryan exhaled. I'll owe you 10 if you get them out of here alive. The woman stepped aside, motioning for Lyra. Get on. Fast. But just as Lyra placed one foot on the ramp, a high-pitched sound filled the air. A hunter drone shot through a side tunnel, aiming directly at the boy. Ryan acted without thinking. He jumped forward, body colliding with the drone just as it fired. Sparks flew. Pain seared through his shoulder. The drone shattered, crashing, into the wall. Lyra screamed. Ryan! He rolled onto his side, gritting his teeth. I'm fine, go! The pilot pulled Lyra into the ship as Ryan dragged himself up the ramp, bleeding but alert. Inside, the ship lifted off before the ramp even closed. Ryan collapsed into a seat. He looked at the boy again. The child stared at him, wide-eyed. Then, he did something strange. He reached out and placed his tiny hand on Ryan's wound. There was no sound, no light. But the pain faded. Ryan looked down, shocked. The skin on his shoulder was no longer torn. The burn had vanished. The boy tilted his head, calm, almost curious, as if he didn't understand what he had done. Lyra covered her mouth in disbelief. Ryan whispered, He just healed me. The pilot turned from the controls. We just passed the outer zone. They won't follow us now. Lyra held her son tighter, eyes full of emotion. He's awakening. I thought we had more time, but it's starting now. Ryan leaned back, exhausted, staring at the ceiling. He's not just surviving anymore, he's changing, fast. Lyra didn't speak for a while. Then, with a voice that was more determined than ever, she said, "Then we need to be ready. Because next time they won't come with drones." Ryan looked at her, then at the boy. The storm hadn't ended. It had only just begun. The deal reversed far beyond the spaceport, deep in the silent curve of an asteroid belt. The stolen ship hovered between rocks and shadows. No signals, no lights, no trails. It was hidden so well that even the stars seemed to ignore it. Inside, the silence was heavier than space itself. Ryan sat near the ship's rear, wrapping a clean bandage around his arm, though the wound had already healed by the small hand of a boy who didn't yet know his own power. The memory of that moment still replayed in his head over and over, not just the healing, but how natural it had felt. The boy hadn't spoken, hadn't even focused. He had simply touched and restored. Ryan looked up. Lyra stood nearby, quiet, watching her son sleep inside the med pod. The soft hum of the pod surrounded him in warmth, keeping his body calm while his evolving DNA continued its strange journey. But she wasn't just watching her child now. She was watching Ryan. She stepped closer. "You saved him," she said. Ryan shook his head. "You saved him first, I only helped." "No," Lyra said softly. "You risked everything. You didn't ask for anything in return." There was a pause. "I owe you more than my life, Ryan. I owe you his." Ryan met her eyes. He saw a strange mixture in them, gratitude, sorrow, and something deeper. She reached out slowly and placed her hand on his chest. Her voice trembled. "My people made offers in the past, out of fear, out of desperation. But what I offer now is a choice, not out of fear, not out of debt, but because you gave me hope when I had none." Ryan gently moved her hand away. "You don't owe me anything, Lyra." She blinked. "I don't want a reward. I don't want your body or some deal in return. I want one thing only. That he grows up free. That no one owns him. That he chooses who to be." Lyra's lips trembled. "You still believe in choice, after everything they've done to you?" "I do now," Ryan said. "Because I met you." A long silence passed. Then Lyra lowered her head. "There is something I didn't tell you." Ryan stayed still, listening. "He's not just a hybrid child. He's not just the son of two enemies. Before my people exiled me, before his father died, a secret was whispered to us." She looked up again. "They said the child might carry a gene, a hidden one, a dormant code passed down once every 1,000 years, a legacy we thought was lost." Ryan frowned. "What kind of legacy?" "Control," she said. "Not of machines, not of ships, but of life itself. They called it the spark." Ryan leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Are you saying your son could manipulate living matter?" Lyra nodded. "The poison that should have killed him, he changed it. The wound on your body, he reversed it, and that was only the beginning." Ryan rubbed his temples. "If this is true, then every government, every warlord, every mad scientist in the galaxy will come for him. Not to kill him, to own him. Which is why," Lyra said, "you must help me disappear completely. Not just hide, erase." Ryan stood up. "There's someone I know, a ghost maker. He doesn't just hide people, he makes them vanish from every database, but it comes at a price." Lyra asked, "What does he want?" Ryan looked toward the sleeping child. "He wants to meet your son." Lyra tensed. "No. He won't harm him," Ryan said. "But he'll want to see the spark. He won't help unless he believes it's real." Lyra hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Then we show him. Just once. After that, no more." They both turned back to the pod. Inside it, the child stirred. His hands opened slightly in his sleep, and the small broken crystal on the shelf nearby floated upward, gently spinning without touch or sound. Ryan whispered, "He's not a threat." "No," Lyra said. "He's a warning." And now every eye in the galaxy would soon be watching for that warning. The child who will shake the stars 3 years passed in silence. No reports, no sightings, no signals. To the galaxy, Lyra and her child were gone, erased by the best ghostmaker in the outer rings. Some believed the boy had died. Others claimed he was locked in a vault under a military moon. But no one could prove anything. Ryan had made sure of that. Far from the central systems, on a hidden green world without a name, a small house stood near a waterfall. In it lived a quiet woman, her young son, and the man who had once been a battlefield medic, a fugitive, a savior. Now he was just Uncle Ryan. The boy had grown tall for his age. His skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight, like a reflection from another world. His eyes had settled into a soft glow, blue, deep, and endless. He smiled more now. He ran in the grass, laughed at the birds, asked endless questions. But sometimes, things happened. A tree that should have died bloomed in a single night. A sick animal touched by his hand walked again. A stone broken in half was made whole, with no crack left behind. Ryan watched all of it from the shadows, never interfering, only teaching when needed. "You can't always fix what's broken," he told the boy one day, "but if I can, why shouldn't I?" The child asked, his head tilted. Ryan answered, "Because sometimes pain teaches us, and sometimes things aren't meant to be saved." The boy nodded quietly, but his fingers still itched with energy. One night, as the stars burned bright, above them the boy stood in the grass alone. His mother watched from inside. Ryan stood nearby, as always. "I feel them," the boy whispered. "Who?" Ryan asked. "The ones who want to find me. They're dreaming about me, talking in secret rooms. They think I'm still a baby. But I'm not." Ryan stepped closer. "Are you scared?" The boy turned slowly. "No, but they should be." Ryan didn't flinch. "Why?" "Because I don't want war," he said. "But if they come, I won't run anymore." The next morning, a signal appeared on a long-range receiver hidden deep under the house. A coded message, one only Ryan would understand. They know. They're coming. Prepare. Ryan closed the panel and sat at the table. "It's time," he told Lyra. She didn't cry. She had already cried everything years ago. She only nodded. "Then he will choose." They called the boy inside. He stood, tall, eyes bright, energy calm like a quiet sea before the storm. "We can leave," Ryan said. "There are still places we can hide." The boy shook his head. "No, I want them to see me, not with fear, with truth." "What will you say?" Lyra asked. The boy smiled. "I'll tell them I'm not their weapon, not their prophecy. I'm just a child who saw kindness and chose to become something better." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. The child wasn't a myth. He wasn't a threat. He was hope, alive, growing, and soon, unstoppable. In the coming years, the galaxy would remember this boy, not for how he was hunted, but for what he chose to become. A bridge, a healer, a storm made of mercy, and behind him always stood a desperate mother who once whispered a broken plea in a dark alley, and a human who said yes.